wheels and tires with the most style, function, and innovation? Look no further than Fuel Off-Road. From stock to lifted, dually to trophy truck and UTV applications, Fuel Off-Road offers the most complete lineup for your next adventure. Whether a weekend warrior or racer, you can't go wrong with Fuel's massive line of trail tough truck and UTV wheels and tires. Good looks, better prices, and the absolute best range of styles and applications. Find us at fueloffroad.com.
Coming to you live with a full stomach of tacos, George Hamill and Cody Sanders. This is the Dirt Life Show.
What's up? Episode 9 of the Dirt Life Show. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm Georgie Hamill.
Cody Sanders.
What's up, Cody? How's your day, dude?
Dude, it was good. Columbus Day.
Yeah.
Day off.
Columbus Day, and then, tomorrow's Taco Day, so that's a plus, too. Just reminded me when I hear that intro. I kind of do want some tacos, man. It's some taquitos today. Those were pretty good. Dude, I'm still a little bit upset at you.
Why?
Because I didn't get to go to the dunes like you, man. You got to drive your YXZ. We need to put some paddles on that thing.
Hey, we should make them.
So you got to do some shredding, though, didn't you?
Oh, dude, it was awesome, man. I've never been to the dunes that's like it was empty.
But like sometimes that's the baddest way that you can go, because the sand is like super duper virgin sand.
Dude.
Like you can go cut your own lines in. You can find your own hits. All of the dirt has just been moved around from the previous season.
Yeah, we went out with a group of people. We left at 3:00 in the morning and said, you know what, just spur of the moment, dude.
Day trip.
Let's do it. And then it was supposed to be a day trip, and a couple guys did have a day trip, and which those guys right there, man, I give it up to them. That's a haul for them. 4 hours one way, 4 hours back, dude. And
I feel like you need to have beers and stuff afterwards, though, too. So, like, why not just stay the night?
We were so tired.
You did stay the night?
Oh, yeah. I think I had like 3 or 4 beers and I was out, dude.
I bet. Especially from waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Shit, dude. I didn't really sleep the night before.
Yeah, you're all pumped up to get out on the first dune trip, right?
Dude, it was awesome, man.
That's cool. And you got to drive one of those new Can-Ams?
Yeah, dude. I got to drive that new RC, the orange one. Oh,
I'm not a huge fan of the orange, but the car seems cool.
The car, I never liked Can-Am. But
you don't like CVTs.
Well, that too. But to get the opportunity, I've driven pretty much almost every car now. And that one right there really, really, that took my heart, dude.
I still like the Can-Ams. I think they're good cars. I don't know if I would buy one over something that's got a sequential gearbox, but I think they're cool. Like that Can-Am that we built for Brian Forrester for his racing. Well, I don't want to say we built because he built a lot of it too, but we had helped him with it. I got to take that thing on a racetrack.
Yeah.
And that thing was pretty good, dude. Like it was fast, and he's tuned it up and got it way better since then too. Like I don't think those cars are bad at all, especially the geometry and stuff. Like with the shocks and the suspension and different, they feel good.
I like them, dude.
When you drive it, they feel like super stable compared to like say a shorter wheelbase car.
Yeah, I mean, I punched it, man, and I was like, holy smokes.
Throw you back in the seat?
And that car is bone stock, 195, I think, horsepower, bone stock. And
how was the turbo lag?
I didn't really feel any, dude.
No?
Dude, I hit it, and it was gone, dude.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad that they got those turbos tuned up that way.
Yeah.
Sweet, man. Well, let's talk about your dune trip a little bit more. But before we do that, let's thank our sponsors and thank everybody for joining us. So thanks all you guys for joining us right now. We have a fantastic show for you guys tonight. We just see that Josh Wiese joined and commented on the Facebook. We have Josh Wiese coming on from the Sponsored Rider Club podcast. And Josh is a fantastic dude. Like I did an episode of his podcast with him a few years back, and the amount of knowledge that I gained when I was doing the podcast was phenomenal because we had an open conversation about how to acquire sponsors, how to avoid having mistakes with other sponsors, and he's just an all-around good dude. Like he loves off-roading. He loves the dirt life. He does all this stuff in his spare time and still holds down a job, just like the stuff that you and I do. And I think it's really cool to see that. He's going out there and he's doing a good thing. He's trying to provide people with help to get sponsorships and to be better at whatever their dreams are, events or obviously racing needs sponsors and just anything. He's telling you how to manage whatever you want to do to get funding into your programs with the sponsors and the companies. And so I think it's really cool. He's providing a really good service, and he's just an all-around good dude. So I can't wait to talk to Josh. And one thing that we haven't ever talked to Josh about is how much he likes tacos or what his favorite food is. So we'll have to see what
Maybe
he says.
he's a chef, dude.
You think?
Maybe.
So him and Miles Cheek will have to battle?
Never know, man.
I don't know. I still think Miles has got some of the stuff he was talking about. Woo-wee.
Yeah.
And thank you everybody for joining us. We really appreciate it. We've done this is going to be our 9th show, and we've had a fantastic time doing it. We've grown every single show, and it's just so cool to see. I say it every show, and we talked about it before this show. I can't believe that we're sitting here doing this, talking shit about stuff that we enjoy, and we have people watching us.
I know. Look, even Franco, that was his. That's the guy that drove his RCs.
Oh, really?
He's tuned in right now. Yeah.
Sweet.
He's like, "Come on, Cody, talk about my Can-Am RC."
He wants you to throw more shouts out.
Yeah, dude.
That's cool. Yeah, like I said, those Can-Ams are bitching cars, man. Yeah. So it'd be nice I'd like to drive one of those RCs because of the suspension upgrade or the turbo upgrades and stuff.
If I could just take my suspension and just make it so smooth, I'll keep my car forever.
Yeah.
That's all I want. I need a softer ride, dude.
All about the geometry, man.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, and thank you guys very much. We can't do it without you. So I say it every show, and I probably say it for the next 100 shows that we have. Please tell us what you think we can do better. Tell us what you think you want to hear. Tell us anything that you want. We know dune season's coming up. Everybody's getting ready to do that. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about, what you want to do to get on the trails, safety, anything. Car builds. I know that's interesting to people.
Oh, yeah.
And we can even talk about differences with CVT clutches, and because we were talking about earlier, and the Honda has a automatic transmission or paddle shift. The Yamaha obviously has their own manual. We could talk about that stuff too. That'd be kind of cool in a show. So we got somebody that says they can't see or hear.
That's Franco.
Let's see here. Let us know if you guys can hear or see anything, because it looks like we had a couple issues with the broadcast. So that dune trip that you guys went on, how long did you guys stay for, and what was the?
We left at 3:00 in the morning. We met at halfway, which is Gila Bend, and we kind of bullshitted there for a good 45 minutes. Kind of just had everybody meet up, kind of talked about it, and then we shot from there. Ate in Yuma. I talked about that all-you-can-eat KFC.
Oh yeah,
dude. Brian Lopez is the one who showed us that. But
that place is so good.
Yeah. We stopped off, ate, got out there, and then took off, man. And the sand was, at first it was fine. You could see it, but then it got to where the sun and the sand all looked alike.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Everyone was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "Dude, tell me about it. You can lead if you want." It got to a point where I was like, "Dude, I was hitting little G outs. Didn't even see that we're there."
Oh, really?
Didn't even notice they were there, man. It scared the shit out of me, and I was like, "Man, I never had this before." And
that's kind of crazy though, because when you can't see that stuff, you got to be real. Well, the dune's good. You can read lines and stuff good, but if you didn't have a good leader or something, it'd be pretty sketchy.
Yeah, dude. I took a guy that's never been, one of my really good friends. He just got into the off-road stuff, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, I'll just go with you. This is a perfect trip for me to go and try it out." And he got scared. He was. You should have seen my handle, the passenger handle. He would let off his hands, just dripping sweat from his arms.
No way,
dude. I was like, "Are you okay?"
Were you ripping, or are you just going good?
Just cruising, man. And he was like, "Dude, I don't know if this is for me." And then as the day went on and the sun was different, he was like, "Now I see. It's fucking awesome."
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, dude."
Well, and plus sitting passenger is a little different too.
Yeah, he didn't get sick. I mean, I don't ever make my wife got sick, I think, once or twice, but I wasn't leading.
Yeah.
And other than that, man, it's usually just a cruise, man. I can cruise around.
Yeah, I think it's so fun, man. I really want to go. Like, I've been thinking, like, in my head, like,
Come out, dude.
Yeah.
Stay in my shit.
Okay, so somebody says, okay, audio, but no video. I don't know what's weird about it, but let me restart the video and see if that helps. Well, let's just use a different camera for now. I still got some frozen video over here, too. There we go. Let's try that. All right. Hopefully that helps with the video stuff. Maybe we're having a little bit of trouble with the GoPro, but we'll see if let us know if you guys can see the video good now. The dune's just real. Like, I just want to go, man. Like, I really do. Like, we were talking about it the other day, how much camaraderie is at the dunes and things like that. Like, I just want that right now in my life. You know what I mean? Like, going through all this medical shit and like having to deal with just everything over the past, like, I just want to get out. Like, I kind of feel like I need to be free, like free myself, like let the dog out of the cage kind of thing.
Well, my wife Carly's working the Duners Diner during Camp Razor. I need someone to go drive, dude.
To go drive, yeah.
You're in.
I would like to do that. I just don't want to put anybody in a position where, like, let's just say I can't make it or I don't feel good or something. Like, I don't want to be that dickhead that sits at camp the whole time and is like Debbie Downer kind of guy. You know what I mean? So what I think I want to do is I want to try to do a kind of like a tune-up ride, so to speak, and go out. Like, we plan to go in the back of some trails back here in Arizona that we have on November 9th. So once we do that, then I'll get my sea legs, so to speak, my off-road legs back, and then I'd like to see if I can go to the dunes maybe in February or something. So I think that's about the right time.
Yeah, November 9th, Veterans Weekend.
Veterans Weekend?
Yeah.
It's the weekend before my birthday. That's what I thought it would be. So, okay. Well, who knows? Maybe I can go to the dunes quicker than that.
Yeah.
I'll have to get me some Ugg boots, though, first.
Dude, you got to get them. I just had them on last night. For some of you who follow my Facebook page, 520 Side by Side, I put them bad puppies on last night.
Oh, poor Ugg boots, man. I just thought it was so funny, man, that Mike had those things last episode, and Mike Gardner, and he was talking about them. He brought them in the camera and stuff.
A lot of people have them, man, and
people commenting all over the place too.
Today, somebody asked one of the I'm taking the Stout family for their first time this upcoming dune trip, and we were talking about Ugg boots. And last night I posted the picture. And I'm like, oh, dune prepping, I got my Ugg boots on. I was like, it's for you. He was like, damn, man, I should probably get them. So I sent him the link, and a lot of people were like, oh my God, they are men's. I was like, they say men's on them, dude. They're legit.
Dude, I would never buy the Ugg brand though.
Oh, that's like $300, dude.
I'm not about to spend $300 on
Carly
dude shoes.
did. She wears hers, and I'm like, oh.
I don't know. There was also some people that commented on the show saying that they would disown me if I got them. So, you know what I should do then? I'll get two pairs. I'll get one for that person that wants to disown me, and then one for me, and then see if they disown me at that point.
I'm telling you, man, it's great. It's good. They're comfy.
Right on. Well, let's thank all our sponsors before we get too far into the show. Want to thank Shock Therapy. Obviously, they do awesome jobs with shocks, fuel, wheels. They got the baddest wheels on the planet. Those guys are awesome. We want to thank Zollinger Racing Products. They make such good stuff. Talk about them every time. We want to thank Solderweld. Solderweld, the guys are going to come in. They're going to fly in from Utah and come to the podcast.
That's exciting.
Yeah. It'll be, I think it's next month or later this month. But anyways, it'll be cool to see Lance. And I don't know if he's going to bring back Vanessa, but I think it'll be cool to hang out with them.
She's going up to Camp Razor, by the way.
Is she?
Yeah, she messaged me and she's like, hey, I'm going to head out. I think I'm really for sure going to go. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome, dude. That's cool.
Is she going to be able to meet up with you guys, or where's she going to camp?
Yeah, I mean, if she wants to, hey, it's cool.
Who knows? Maybe they got other people that are Solderweld guys that are going out there. Yeah. Sweet, man. That'll be good for her. I know she wanted to go after she talked to us, and she seems like the person I would have a great time. I think she's got some Ugg boots, too.
Hey, dude. Fit right in.
And, so then night rides. And since Rigid is right behind us, we want to thank Rigid Industries, too. So those guys are awesome. We going to have some cool stuff coming up with some of these sponsors in the next couple months. We have lots of fun events that are coming our way in Arizona. So it's just going to be a cool time, man. So I can't wait to do some of these collaboration efforts and have some fun with all these guys. And that's some of the stuff we're going to talk about with Josh tonight. Like, we're going to talk about relationships that you have with sponsors, relationships that you have with employees, and how much you actually help them instead of just putting a sticker on the side of the car and expecting money from it. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of different ways to acquire sponsors. There's different events that you can do. You can have sponsors for events. You can have sponsors for your race team. You can have sponsors for single races. Yep. You can have sponsors that are just social media sponsors. You can have all kinds of different ways to have sponsors these days. So it's going to be real interesting to see what Josh has to say about that, and to see how he thinks the sponsorship realm has changed maybe over the past 5 years, and see what he thinks about it.
And I got the way when I explain mine, it's kind of important.
Yeah, I want to hear about that too. Like, let's get his, because you got a good real world example. So let's get his opinion on something like that. I think that would be really cool, because it's not a race team. You're not asking for much. You want to give back to people, and you want to get people associated with it. So I think it's a fantastic opportunity for us to discuss with Josh what he thinks about a situation like that.
Yeah, I mean, I could just explain why I have what I have on my car, and why I did it. So,
but and do that too. Like, well, and you have proof of your concepts and stuff like that too. So I think that those are good, and I think we'll talk to Josh about that stuff too. Yep. The thing that I think is always so crazy about sponsorships is that, without sounding like a jerk when I say this, people think that if you have a sticker on the side of your car, that you're worth something now. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't usually work like that, especially this day and age. Like, you really need to be giving back to the people that are giving to you.
Right.
You need to be helping them. You need to be providing services for them. You need to be, promoting their products and sales. I mean, sales is what matters. So it's going to be really cool, like I said, to talk to Josh and see what he has to say about that stuff. I know you've dealt with some of the stuff that I've gone through in racing, and we've had Shop talk about this before, but you've got to see it firsthand.
Yeah. I mean, we can get into it a little bit. Most people know that my car has Desert RV down the side.
Right. And Desert RV is an RV.
It's an RV dealership, Machuca City. Yeah. Jeff Rose actually owns it in
Southern Arizona.
And because why have him on there, a lot of people are like, "Well, what's he doing for you?" And I shouldn't have to explain myself to people. But as most of everybody knows, is my toy hauler got stolen. Right. So my toy hauler got stolen last year, actually almost about a year ago now. And when it hits your credit, it's like, dude, it just put a big jump in your credit because of what you purchased. Well, it made it very difficult for me to get a toy hauler again.
Right.
Well, Jeff's like, hey, dude, you know what? Like, just show me all your paperwork. And then he knew certain people. And I wouldn't have a toy hauler right now again if it wasn't for Desert RV.
Right.
He made it happen. He made my family happy again. And some people also know that I left my job to go work for him for a while, and I'm not there anymore. I'm back on where I'm at. But I jokingly told him one day when I was signing the papers, like, you want to wrap my car in your logo? That's cool. He's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, why not? You helped me out so much.
Now I want to help you?
I'll help you.
That's a perfect example. Yep. That's a perfect example right there. Yep. Because he helped you. You wanted to help him. Yep. That's a good working relationship.
Yes.
And a lot of it revolves actually around timing, right? Yep. So the timing was obviously messed up in your case because you didn't expect your toy hauler to get taken.
No.
You needed something quickly because you were forced to go, get something to go do the activities that you wanted to. Right. And you just worked on having a good relationship with the guy. Yep. And now you can call him and go have beers. You can do whatever you want. Like, he's a good friend of yours now.
Yep.
And that relationship just cultivated and grew over a period of time.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a lot of the things that we can talk to Josh about today too. Like, timing is a bitch, and it's also a blessing too.
Yep.
So timing, like for me in one of my cases, was I wanted to go racing. Timing was good because I was just working my day job and I could afford to go racing, and it was something that we wanted to do. Well, timing is also a bitch because I get hurt. And now, like, I can't work anymore. I can't do these certain things that I have. So what I did with my timing and my sponsorship stuff that I needed to do was change my work ethic and change the things that I did. Like, I had the ability to just say, fuck it. I need to get on disability and I need to drain the system and get better and do all these things. But it's not my type of personality to do that. Just like it's not your type of personality to go say, give me $500 for a logo on the side of my car.
Right.
I wanted to go and put more effort into it, just like you did, and say, well, timing has kind of screwed me on this. I don't have any money coming in. I need to figure out what the next step in my life is. I'm going to go ahead and adjust the things that I had planned to make them fit in with the goals that I have. And what I mean by that is we had planned to have a podcast start, myself and a guy that was helping manage some of the things that I was doing back in North Carolina named Don Smile. We had planned to start a podcast in 2020. And that podcast was going to be very similar to The Dirt Life, but it was going to be more arranged around some of the projects that we had going on and some of the things that we're doing. It wasn't going to be so loose-oriented like the way it is. And timing fucked me. Like, I couldn't do anything. So you and I came up with the idea, and we said, why don't we just do it? Like, maybe this is a good thing for you, George. Maybe you could get some money out of this. Maybe you can utilize some of the relationships that you've had in the past with the show now. And it got me thinking, and I started putting in a little bit of effort into it, and I started calling some of the people that I had relationships with, just like you did with Jeff, and stuff started working out, and timing started coming back to fruition, like making it better for my life. And it really goes back to all the genuine core things about sponsorship. The relationships that you have with those sponsors, if you're giving back to those sponsors, if you're helping the people that work in those positions, and if you're helping the company overall.
Yeah.
And I think the way that we propose this show and the way that we're doing it now, I think that it is helping people. Unfortunately, this show doesn't have any income yet, but hopefully it will in the future. You know, like, I would really love to see this thing grow into something that could help both of us. And I think it would give us the ability to do more things that we want to do. It would give the ability to maybe help some more people that watch the show and learn about our stories a little bit more. So I think it'll be really cool. And I think timing has a very, very drastic weighing on all the stuff that we do, and especially with events too. Like, you have different events that you have coming up, and it'd be cool to get sponsors involved with that. So it'd be nice to have bigger relationships with some of the sponsors that we have on the show. Maybe they could help with some of the events that you have and some of the events that we're going to do together. I think it'd be fantastic to do all that, but it's not as easy as just making a phone call and asking for money. It's got to cultivate these relationships and really make them the foundation good.
Yep.
So I honestly, man, I think we're both very blessed to be able to have all the good relationships that we have.
I'm excited, man.
There's a lot of people out there, man, that they really take advantage of those situations.
They do.
And sometimes it lasts 5 months, sometimes it lasts a year, sometimes it lasts 2 years, but you know what? It fails sooner or later when it's like that. So it's unfortunate for those people that do things that way, but maybe we can shed some light on how Josh thinks and how we think about keeping these relationships going and having these relationships for long, long durations of years and having good sponsors and partners, man. I think it'd be fantastic to help all these people, especially, dude, it's like race season, like budgets are coming out right now. Lots of events for the nice, cool weather, like all dune season, like all kinds of fun stuff is happening. So getting back to the thing that, like, when we started the podcast, I'm glad that we started it the way that we did. I'm glad that we were able to get people involved and I think it really it's because we're being ourselves.
Yeah.
I think it's good, man. I really do. I think it'd be cooler if it was like 10 million people watching us, but
yeah, it'll get there, man.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think we're doing a good job.
We keep doing what we're doing, I think it'll be successful.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's one of the things that I think is so good about you, man, is all the relationships that you had. You know, like, we had that fundraiser that you had for me to help me out. You started with good intentions, man, and it was fantastic. Like, all those people were so happy, man, to be there to win prizes and to, like, you did it for a good reason. It's just awesome. And for me, I mean, to this day, I'm still so stoked, man, that you guys did that for me. I get
your teeth soon.
Wednesday, I get some new teeth. So I got to sit. What was the longest time that you sat down in a tattoo chair for?
2 hours.
That's it?
Yeah. Man.
Well, I got to have my mouth cracked on for 6 hours on Wednesday, dude. Ugh.
You could have like a time-lapse video, dude.
I don't even know if I want to do that, man. It's going to suck. I really don't want to sit there, but I can't wait to be done with it.
Yeah.
And to be like on to the next step, because the next step is going to be like, okay, how long does it be till I can eat some of that good Mexican corn? Because I really want that Mexican corn, dude.
Yeah.
Eat me some more tacos. So yeah, I'm pumped to get my teeth done. So that'll be cool. We got any good comments coming in yet?
No, I got Jake Coleman on here. What's up, dudes? First one I've been able to catch up on. Cool setup. And then Jake Coleman said, Josh is a solid dude. I can't wait to meet Josh. I've listened to some of his stuff when you were on it, and it seems like a solid guy.
Yeah, and he goes to some of the events now too. So Josh is one of the reasons that I was ended up meeting a guy named Jimmy Moore. He races a Yamaha in the Best in the Desert series. Was at the UTV World Championship. He came up and he was asking us about the Yamaha because it was a new car at the time. And so Jimmy and I kind of established a little bit of a relationship. And then he started working with Josh, and it was really cool because Jimmy, and I had started talking about suspension from trying to help out with the short course stuff, and it was really cool because he ended up coming out to a bunch of different races and helping us at the actual events, like kind of like how the Supercross teams do it. They have a suspension tuner at the races. So that ended up working out really cool. And then, he's like now associated with the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, and say that 10 times fast. And so it's really cool to see like all of these things come together, you know what I mean? And Josh has a lot of the same people associated with him. Soderweld helps him out, and it's just a fantastic group of people that all work together, man. So it's kind of cool to see that, because everybody that's around us and around Josh all love the dirt life, man.
It's camaraderie, man.
Yeah, dude, can you imagine if we got all these guys sitting around the campfire at one dune trip? How about we establish something like, so Bryce Menzies, every year for his sponsors, he has what's called a summit. And so I don't know where he does it. He does it at a different place every year, I think. And so he will have all of his sponsors come out, let's just say to Las Vegas. They all, put them up in a hotel and stuff. And they have like this, basically a conference telling them about what happened during the year, what plans they have for next year, and all these cool things, right? Well, why don't we do that by like on a low level at a campfire?
We should.
And do that at the dunes one weekend instead of like, how people have the guys trip or like Camp Razor and stuff. Why don't we format a weekend where we just have a whole bunch of fun with everybody?
We should.
Everybody should come out, man. How fun would that be?
Be fun, for sure.
Instead
we probably wouldn't sleep at all.
We'll call it the Sand Summit. Dirt Life Show Sand Summit. Oh, man. And the sponsors around the campfire just drinking beers, having a good time.
No sleep all weekend. Ready for that?
So all the sponsors are all pissed off on Monday. We don't want them to do that, man. But, yeah, I think that would be something cool. Just giving back to everybody that's giving to the show or to events or whatever it is. I think that those types of creative ideas are really cool to sponsors. So I think that would honestly be a great idea.
That actually happened with Jeff actually last year.
You did something like that?
We did, yeah. Me and Jeff, Desert RV, we teamed up and did a give back to the community.
There you go, dude.
At Bowie Hot Wells.
See, you're doing all this stuff and you don't even know it, man.
Yeah. It was really cool. He helped out a lot, and we went in it together, and we had sponsors like Sierra Cycles, Cochise Motorsports down in Sierra Vista. I mean, they threw in a whole bunch of stuff for free raffles, man. It was awesome.
There you go.
It was awesome.
That's perfect. And did you expect anything back from it?
No.
Boom.
No. It was just a good feeling that people support everything I've created.
Right, because you're not out there being greedy.
No, and Jeff has come in, and he's like, hey, dude, I'll do it with you. Let's do it together. And we became really good friends over it. So it's been really good. It's been successful. So we're going to keep pushing forward. We got a lot of trips this season. So,
man, I got to get my freaking life together, man.
Well, you came out to the taco event I did here in Tucson.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was good. You came out to that. And
I actually really had a good time there.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the coolest events that you do, though, is still that the Diamond Children's thing.
Yeah,
where you're going to help the kids and
that
stuff.
That was a spur of the moment. I got the idea, and I'm like, I think we can do this. Like, I've had help, Goldie's Paint and Body, you know them. They're local.
Jeremy over there, he just helped with the unicorn, man.
Yep. Desert RV put in. I mean, there's so many, man, that have come forward and helped, and we got to look forward again this year, December 7th.
Oh, before I forget, we have 5 of these unicorn shirts left, XX. So if anybody wants one, hit me up. They're $25 each. So 5 unicorn shirts. They're gray, XX. Just let me know if you guys want them because they'll go fast. So, I think that's so great, though, dude. Like, those types of things to me, like, it gives me chills thinking about it, honestly, is they're so meaningful that why wouldn't a sponsor want to come on for those events? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you already have your proof of concept, like we were talking about, and you did it last year. You're going to do it again this year, so you'll have some validity behind it. And that's just a perfect thing. Like, in racing, there's a lot of guys that say, oh, okay, I got a dirt bike, now I should be sponsored, right? No, you shouldn't be. You should go out there and you should prove yourself. You should go out there and race. You should have a good time. Even if you don't win, just prove that you're a good human being out, in the pits, whatever it is. And then you have your proof of concept, and then you can start asking people to support you and things like that. And that's exactly what you're doing. I think it's fantastic, man.
Well, where we did your fundraiser, Rita Ranch Rita Ranch Automotive and Tire here in Tucson.
Yeah, Terry, he's good.
Terry, a while back, one of my best friends works with him, and I was joking with him one day, and I was like, dude, we should do something here, like a show and glow, because I enjoy doing those and getting people together. So he's like,
it's just a fun thing to get out
on the weekend.
It's fun,
dude. And then your fundraiser came out. I'm like, well, shit, let's do it here.
Yeah.
And then, so he helps me out. He was like, well, what do you want? And I'm like, well, I kind of need new tires. Yeah. And he was like, that's it? And I'm like, I'm simple, dude.
Yeah.
He gave me tires. And I'm happy, dude. I don't need anything fancy.
But he got way more for his,
but
stuff. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. So.
But he gave us a good thing. He gave us a good platform to put the show on.
Yep.
So I thought it was fantastic, man. I still like it. I've actually had this come up like last week just because I was thinking about stuff. And dude, it seems like every fucking show I get all teary-eyed. But I was thinking about how cool it was. Like, I could barely see when I went there. Like, I can see a lot better now. But if I just had a little bit more vision when I was there, I could have seen more smiles, more happy faces. But fuck, the emotions and the camaraderie around the event was just so awesome, dude.
At least they got to see you be able to see a little bit. The first time I saw you, you remember that?
I don't want anybody out to see that.
I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want, it was so heart-wrenching, dude. I was like, oh my God, dude. But
yeah. So, like I said, though, those good intentions go a long way, and people see that. So it's cool to see. Like, so now, like, if you were to ask people to join your event and ask for sponsors and stuff, the proof's already in the pudding. You've done a fantastic job. You didn't need to have anything back. You know what I mean? So, and I think it's good that you do it that way because you're cultivating the relationships, and that's really important. So we'll see what Josh says and see what he has to give us as far as information goes to the things that you got going on, and hopefully even help somebody in their race seasons coming up too. Yeah. Well, like I said, Josh is a fantastic dude. Why don't we take a commercial break? What time is it? 6:30? Yeah, let's take a commercial break real quick, and we'll get Josh back on the line. Last week's show was, 2.5 hours? That was a little long for me to sit here with my back.
Especially when I got to work at like 6:30 in the morning.
Dude, I don't even know. And did you even eat dinner?
I got home, and I was, like, starving. Dude.
Oh, I bet. I can only imagine. Well, let's go to commercial break, and we will come back and talk with Josh. See you guys in a minute.
Hello, I'm Justin, the founder of Shock Therapy. Shock Therapy has been around for 5 years, but we have personally been tuning suspension on off-road cars and race vehicles for over 25 years. We tune between 10 and 15 cars per day, every single day of the week. Our concentration is tuning shock systems and supplying components that improve the ride quality of your car in many ways. Not only do we work on the average UTV, but we also tune suspension for race teams and professional drivers. We currently tune for over 87 race teams in Best in Desert and Score. Our clients and race teams rely on our suspension components to allow them to win races and keep them safe. Suspension is a moving target. We are always trying to hit that target with every customer that we work with. Each customer's needs can be different, and we tune our kits accordingly. Our research and development never stops. We improve our components every single day. As the industry evolves and improves, so do our parts and kits. As of right now, we have over 100 products for UTVs. So when you bring your car to us, you have the satisfaction of knowing that you have the most experience, the highest quality products, and the fact that your car is being tuned specifically to you.
For wheels and tires with the most style, function, and innovation, look no further than Fuel Off-Road. From stock to lifted, dually to trophy truck, and UTV applications, Fuel Off-Road offers the most complete lineup for your next adventure. Whether a weekend warrior or racer, you can't go wrong with Fuel's massive line of trail tough truck and UTV wheels and tires. Good looks, better prices, and the absolute best range of styles and applications. Find us at fueloffroad.com.
Introducing Rigid's new SRL Series light bar, featuring a sleek 20-inch curved housing, ultra-wide forward projecting beam pattern, and a unique halo backlight feature offered in 4 color options. The SRL Series light bar's new optic combination projects light over 70 degrees wide, with more than enough distance to safely drive in low visibility conditions, making it the perfect lighting solution for most applications. The Halo backlight feature is offered in red, white, blue, or amber, and is wired independently from the forward projecting light. Instantly transition from style to function with the flip of a switch, making it easier than ever to own the night.
Hey guys, George Hamill here to talk to you about one of our sponsors, Solder Weld. Who is Solder Weld, and what is their impact on the off-road community? Well, some of you may have seen Solder Weld's booths at the races, Mint 400, Vegas to Reno, Score and Snore events, and the UTV World Championship. You're seeing their stickers and sponsor wraps on more and more racers' vehicles every year. But who are they, and what do they have to offer us as off-road enthusiasts? Well, late last year, Solder Weld introduced their new off-road repair kit to the off-road industry and sold out their first week. The interest was overwhelming, as many off-roaders already knew of Solder Weld's aluminum radiator repair rods, and now they were included in a convenient carry kit in camo or black. If you're a racer of any type or off-road enthusiast like myself, you're going to want to take a close look at this product. Solder Weld has combined some of their most elite products into one small kit that fits perfectly under your seat or strapped into your roll cage and allows you to make some insane fixes anywhere you go. How many of us have been in a race or out on the trail and got a rock chip in a radiator or a brake line? We've literally seen a top-tier desert race truck at the 2019 Mint 400 taken out by a simple rock to the radiator. If they would have had an off-road repair kit on board, they could have been back up and running in just a minute. The kit includes everything you need to work on dirty aluminum, stainless steel, copper, and many other metals. Solder Weld's cutting-edge technology allows you to make these fixes with extremely low heat and incredible high tensile strength, leaving you with a lasting fix every time. Don't be that guy who broke down on the side of the trail. Get your off-road repair kit today. Your friends will thank you. Yeah, we're back. We got Josh Wiese on the line. What's up, Josh?
How's it going?
Good,
What's going
man.
on, dude?
How's things with you? It's late
Not
over
much.
there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's getting there. I mean, I was telling you before, I don't sleep anyways, so it doesn't really matter what time it is.
We could call you at 2 in the morning and you still be hanging out.
Yeah, that's just the way it is,
That's okay, man. People that think a lot and have their brain going on all the time, I'll dig that. I don't get very much sleep either,
Yeah.
so I'm stoked, man, to
Yeah,
have you on.
if I don't do melatonin, no sleep.
It doesn't
no sleep
happen?
happening for me.
Uh-oh.
Mhm.
Well, I'm glad that you came on the show with us tonight. Like, some of the stuff that you and I have talked about in the past has been pretty eye-opening, honestly. And we've talked about good stuff, bad stuff, everything. And then, obviously, we have a lot of the same friends now, too. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's true.
It's pretty
Got a
neat.
little
Oh,
Solder
look at
Weld
that
going
hat,
on here,
dude.
too.
Look at it.
Uh-oh. That's cool, man. You gotta love Lance and Vanessa and everybody over there at Solder Weld. I've still yet to meet Zeke, but yeah, they're definitely good people, man.
So Zeke is actually the first person I met. I met him at 2017 Vegas to Reno, and I interviewed him. And then, like 2 weeks after that, Lance contacted me about partnering with the podcast. So the rest is history.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And it's probably because of the way that you're cultivating relationships. We were talking about that earlier, and how people
Yeah.
how people think maybe having a logo on the side of the car is the most important thing, but it's actually relationships. Relationships is the most important thing about sponsorships.
Wait, hold on. You telling me that the logo isn't all there is to it? I've been covering 188 episodes of just the logo on the side of the car. Dang it, this is...
Oh, man. For people that can't tell that Josh is sarcastic, he's cracking jokes over there, man.
That's it. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, you nailed it, though. I mean, it's all about relationship building. That's what this whole thing is. Sometimes I feel like the best sponsorship relationship, you don't even know that it happened.
yeah,
You look back, you're like, what?
exactly.
Wait, hold on. Are we like in a business relationship now, or is this just a friendship? I don't really know. I mean, there's some money coming in, I think, but that's the best type right there.
I agree 100%. Well, before we get too far into like the sponsorship talk, because obviously that's your wheelhouse, and we want to try to see if we can, even help people and help Cody too with some of the stuff that he's got going on. But you do a lot of fun stuff, man, on the side. Like, you have a day job just like we do, but you do some fun stuff, man. And you just got a new whip too, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Just got a Ford Raptor. And I just got to break it in yesterday, actually, up at the Silver Lake Sand Dunes, which is in Michigan. Got it stuck pretty good. It was a little embarrassing, but that's okay. It's my first time getting stuck at Silver Lake, so I guess that's not too big of a deal. But it's been a lot of fun so far. I've taken it out twice to really kind of open it up, and I really, really like it.
What's the difference between like those sand dunes? Like, I don't know if you've ever done any of the sand dunes in the Southwest, but do you have to air down your tires and all that stuff, or how did you guys do it up there?
It's one way,
you
isn't
still
it?
gotta air them down. Yeah, there's it's a lot smaller than like out west, but there's basically one way of just the hills, and there's one thing called Test Hill. Basically, if you can make it up that hill, you're pretty much gonna make it everywhere else, and that's all directional. And then there's a couple of other areas that are just, a little chaotic at times, but you can just go wherever you want. They've got a drag strip. They got a beach there. You can just go hang out.
Where's
and
this
it's only
at?
2 hours from my house. So
Where's this at?
this is in Mears, Michigan. So, like, hold on. Let's see. I don't know.
And you
how
know
long
about
we'll
this
do
place, Cody?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. See, everybody, this is Michigan right here, my hand. Mears is like right here. It's right up against Lake Michigan.
Oh, right on.
So yeah, it's 2 hours north of where I'm at. Super easy to get to. All you need is a ORV pass, state park sticker, and capable vehicle.
Yeah, it's kind of the way that they do it out here. Well, let's take it back and rewind a little bit. What got you into the dirt life, man? Like, what got you into doing the podcast? Like, did you grow up off road? Like, what happened?
Yeah, so if I go way back, my dad, my brother, they were big into this stuff. My brother's 10 years older than me, and they always had four-wheelers and stuff, and we were big into snowmobiles, still am. But this is not the snow life show, it's the dirt life.
Yep.
But that's really what got me into those things. I've been on those machines since I was a kid, and at one point I got a Yamaha Badger 80 four-wheeler. It was just this little
Mini quad.
80. I think it was like purple and yellow, and I don't know. I rode that thing into the ground, and then I just kept getting different machines from there, and eventually I got into side by sides, and I had a couple of razors, and loved those, and then I took a whole different direction, hopped into the Jeep world, did that for a while, and then now I got this Raptor, and that's kind of like my toy. So. Yeah, it's just a lot of motor stuff, a lot of getting outdoors, a lot of going fast and breaking stuff.
That's cool, man. You guys obviously did snowmobiles and stuff like that too, because of the winter up there.
Yeah, I love the snowmobiles. I mean, my heart is definitely in the snowmobiles. I've tried to give it up a ton of times because it's so irrational. Like you can only ride it a couple times a year out where I'm at, and but it's just fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah. I've still yet to ride a snowmobile. Have you, Cody?
I think when I was like 5 years old.
You got to ride one, really?
I don't remember it.
Oh. Yeah, I kind of wanted to, though. I mean, they seem like they'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it is addicting. Now, there's different types of riding. So, people out west would say what I do isn't really riding. I do a lot of trail riding. And and that just means you're going fast, hitting corners, stopping places, having a good time. I've gone out west riding once, and I was horrible at it. I couldn't keep the sled upright for more than like 5 seconds. I rolled it constantly. I was exhausted. I couldn't breathe because we were in the mountains, just couldn't catch my breath, but still had fun either way. It's all a good time.
Yeah, just a totally different form of riding. I guess that's kind of the same way that like the off-road stuff is too. Like, I don't know if you have the same stuff up there, Josh, but like GNCC stuff where you're going through the trees, or Lucas Oil off-road stuff, Best in the Deserts. They're all so different, man. Like, you have to have a totally different skill set for each one of them.
Yeah, I'd say Michigan riding is a lot more GNCC type. The tighter trails, trees everywhere. There's some rock, there's some hill area, but for the most part, it's pretty flat. There's lots of spots that are sandy, trails that are sandy. Yeah, so it's a lot of woods riding.
What's the name of the track where they do the Baja Brawl up there in Michigan?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know.
It's in Flint. It's in Flint, Michigan. I forgot the name of the track.
Oh, the Mounds.
Maybe.
The Mounds.
I'm not sure what they called. Wasn't called that back in the day. But anyways, that's the only. It's in Flint, Michigan.
Yeah.
So we went up there and raced a race to qualify for the X Game back in 2008. I think it was. And
that's not the Mounds. No.
Yeah, it's I think it's called Baja Acres.
I've heard that name.
Okay.
Yeah, so
it might be that.
But I remember like going up there, and I've raced all over the country, and honestly, that was the best freaking track I've ever ridden on. Like, the dirt was so loamy, so nice. Like, it was bitching. Like, it was one of the best places that I think anybody could grow up riding. It was so cool. Like, so props to Michigan, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's been a good time. So that's really what got me into it, though. I just always loved that stuff. I couldn't get away from it. And even now, like, I'm getting my kids into it. I took my kids to the sand dunes yesterday, and that was the first time they've ever gone, and they just loved it.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm going to be in trouble because I'm going to have to buy them something here pretty soon.
So they just went with Dad in the back seat, or did they have their own little quads or something?
They were in the back seat with Dad. And it was – so I heard you guys talk about dunes earlier in the show too. It was the same way. It was empty. I mean, it was just wide open, which is great to kind of test the Raptor out, get some speeds up. But it was also a little sketchy at times because the hills were really peaked. Lots of wind coming through. Yeah, it was like 38 degrees. Oh. Yeah, it was a bit sketchy
Uggs.
At times.
Dude, if you had Uggs, it would have been warm.
Gosh dang it, dude.
See, it'd have been fine, dude.
Uggs qualify for everything in your life, dude.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
But yeah, then, you also asked me about the show, how to get into this podcast. It stemmed from a couple of things. So first off, I started getting this itch to do something. I didn't really know what it was going to be, but I wanted to do something. I wanted to spend more time in the off-road world. I wanted to ingrain myself. I got enough fear in me that I knew I was never going to be a racer, but I just wanted to be involved more. So I started this company called Impact Fuel. This is in March of 16, and it was basically like this charity donation thing through social media where people go out, do riding, do racing. They tag Impact Fuel, and we donate money to charity. And I did that for a little while, had a blast with it, but I started saying, gosh, I want to get more into content creation too. So along the way, I found out people were asking me all the time, and they still do it all the time, like, sponsor me, bro. Yeah. Sponsor me, bro. Like, these random people would reach out to me. And, and it was called Impact Fuel, which is a pun for impactful. It didn't mean that I produced or distributed fuel. But people would be like, oh, bro, man, like, give me some of your fuel. I'd love to run it, man.
Yeah.
It'd run great in my quad. Like, dude, I don't make fuel.
Plus,
if you took 5 seconds, you'd realize that.
Yeah. That's like the number one rule you're breaking in sponsorship. You have no idea what the company you're talking to does.
No idea. So that's kind of what started. I was getting kind of sick of people reaching out, and I thought it was a gap, and I figured that I could help with that. I've got a little bit of a business background and a little bit of a marketing background. I thought maybe I can help folks. So I started the podcast in December of 2016, and that's it. Did just release episode, I think it was 187 or 188 last week.
Dude, that's so awesome. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Thank you.
That's a long run. Like, as we're sitting here on episode 9, I can't even, like, fathom 188. So that's
Dude,
super
it flies
cool.
by, though.
Yeah, we'll see if it flies by for us. We're hoping that it will. We're having a good time doing it. I think it's fun. So I think we're going to be able to do it and just have a good time with it.
Yeah, that's all that matters. You got to have some fun. You know, I had no idea what the show was going to do. I just started. Listen to this. This is funny. I accidentally released my first episode. I was not planning on getting out in the world yet. I was going to do 5 or 6 shows, make sure they sounded good, and then start releasing them sequentially.
Yeah.
And when I was just doing some test runs, I accidentally released it.
Right on. So you're like, oh, shit.
First guest. Yeah, I was like, oh, my gosh, you know. My first guest, he shared it. So he shared the link that I accidentally released, and it got some listeners right away. And I was like, oh, shoot. I committed to doing a weekly podcast. I better get some more guests on.
You better haul ass.
Yeah, that was it. So I started reaching out to people, and Jeff Vanistal of TopToPodium.com, I reached out to him next. And I was like, hey, man, you want to come on my show? He's like, yeah, sure. And then turns out he ended up sponsoring the show right after that. So, you know, that was pretty much how it all started. If I wouldn't have got a hold of Jeff, you know, if I wouldn't have released this thing on accident, who knows, it might have flopped from the get-go.
Well, that's like kind of what we were talking about before, too, about timing. Like, you never know what's going to happen. Like, timing just all of a sudden, it can kick your ass, it can help you, like, it can do whatever. Like, it's pretty cool to see that, though, because clearly your timing was set in your mind to be different, but, hey, it worked out.
Yeah, because who knows? I might have gotten nervous and not released it.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I might not have ever done it. I could have just sat on it and said, I don't like it. No one's going to listen, and scrapped it. So
your finger had a different mindset, though. Your finger had a mind of its own. It released that bad boy.
Right.
We didn't have that option, man. Yeah. We go live on every show and then just post it to iTunes later.
Yeah.
So we just got thrown in the fire, man.
Yeah. Along with the wolves.
That's how you got to do it.
So, but it's been fun, and I really enjoy it. Like I know we just talk shit the whole time, so it's cool. But we have fantastic guests like yourself, and we've had some pretty cool guests, and we have some cool stuff that we have planned for the future. So I'm excited to see where this thing goes, man.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Well,
I like what you've done there. I mean, you and I have kind of shared some behind the scenes stuff too.
Yep.
Trying to figure out like how you do your setup. I love that setup there. I do the live shows every now and then too, and gosh, they are challenging. They are challenging.
Yeah, it takes a lot. Like people would think that it's a super easy. You just put on your phone and it comes up on the computer, but it's a little bit more difficult than that. But like I said, man, it was timing for us was different because like I just got my ass handed to me in life, and then all of a sudden I was just like, you know what, let's just do this. So it ended up being cool, and you know, clearly you've taught me a lot because of the stuff that I've dealt with you in the past, and I've done a bunch of other podcasts in the past as well, and I just thought they were pretty cool every time I did them, and it was neat sharing my story with people. So I wanted people to be able to share their stories with us too, because I love talking and hearing share stories. So, well, we know how you got into the dirt life. What do you usually do, like on a daily basis? Then, obviously, you get to spend time with your family and stuff, but you have a day job too.
Yeah. So my day job is also kind of the dirt life too. I work at the Eden Proving Grounds out in Marshall, Michigan. I just did a show on this with the Truck Show podcast too. So if anybody wants like a full download of what we do there, head over there. But yeah, Eden makes a ton of stuff for aftermarket and vehicle performance. They do, differentials, superchargers, bunch of valve train components, transmissions.
Yep.
And I get to operate the proving grounds, which is great. So I get to see vehicles come in. People smash stuff up and break stuff, and
that's pretty
really
bitchin',
push things to their limits. So
that's crazy, dude.
Maybe get Cody a job over there driving. Get out there.
People love driving there. Well, so we do a lot of Class 8 vehicle testing there. So that's semi-trucks, right? That's dump trucks, all the big stuff. And for the most part, a lot of the drivers out on the road that you see, they don't get to come home at night. They get to drive all day, which they like, but they don't always get to come home at night. And so people love coming to the proving grounds and driving because they get to do that, run tests all day, run these vehicles all day, and then go home at night.
That's
Like,
cool.
It's just great.
Does any of the stuff that you do on a daily basis have any crossover into some of the side projects that you work on, like the Sponsor Rider Club podcast? Like, do you have relationships that you can cultivate and stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the Truck Show podcast is a good example. I had Sean Holman on my show. He does Truck Show podcast. He works for Motor Trend.
Yeah, and I've listened to them
show.
before
He
too.
was great.
They do a fantastic podcast.
They are so good. But yeah, that was one thing where we started talking more. I said, hey, you want to come out to the Proving Grounds? He's like, yeah, that'd be great. And then he said, hey, want to come on our show and talk about the Proving Grounds? Yeah, that'd be great. So that was one kind of crossover. Same with Four Wheel Parts. They want to come out to the show, to the Proving Grounds at some point and hang out and do some media coverage, which is great. And I'm going to SEMA this year, so I'm going to be with the Eaton crew at SEMA. And who knows, might do a little bit of podcasting there too. That's kind of like a little crossover activity that I'm taking on. So,
that's fantastic, and that kind of does like we're going to try to see if we can do some of the same stuff with some of the people that support us. I like that aspect of it because you're really just like, I don't know if it feels the same way to you, but like, I mean, clearly it's work, and you have to fly, and you have to do all these different things in communication. You got to bring equipment and all that stuff, but it doesn't feel like work when you're doing it. It feels like you're just chatting with people and having a good time because everybody has the same interest, and it's helping everyone.
It's like you're in the garage, man.
Yeah, just shop talk. So I don't know if it feels the same way to you when you do that kind of stuff. I know that you've been to like Vegas to Reno and stuff as well. How were those? As I don't know, the atmosphere about the podcast and stuff out there.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I wish I could do all my shows live for the most part because of my day job and my family life and stuff. I do all my recordings at night. I'm in my studio right now.
Yep.
And I do all the stuff here at night when things are like calmed down. But, in the daytime, I got to get through all this other stuff. And, it's a nice break, though, to go on site somewhere, sit face to face next to somebody like you two are doing right now, and just chat. And that's what I get to do at Vegas to Reno. It's a little hot at times, so that's different. But I set my computer up, I got my equipment. Bring people in. This year I sat at the Solder Weld booth. Lance let me set up there and interviewed a bunch of people. We had Taylor Hyman on, Jim Beaver came on again, bunch of other folks. We had Brett from Rigid came on. It's so much fun to do that in person. It does not feel draining. It doesn't feel exhausting. It doesn't feel like work.
Yep.
So yeah, Vegas Reno is great for that. I've done the same thing at Heydays, which is a big snowmobile show, and they bring on some side-by-side stuff too.
And it's not as hot up there.
Just set up shop.
It's a little bit cooler up there than it is in Las Vegas.
A little bit cooler. Yep.
Well, yeah, and it's nice to have people like in studio. I think we're gonna have that a little bit more often.
I like that.
Yeah,
I really do.
Where you can be there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And it does show a little bit more of an effort from the person too. Like it shows that they really want to be there. You know what I mean? So it's kind of cool. I mean, coming from way up where you are, it'd be a little difficult. But I like the fact that
shit, man, we'll make a weekend out of it.
Yeah, next time we'll have them down and we'll go to the dunes. We'll have that whole party thing and we'll do a podcast there. That's one thing that I don't like about the live podcasting, though, is that you have to have a really, really high-powered internet connection to be able to do it.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
So that does suck. It would be nice to, be able to do it live from, let's just say the sand dunes.
Oh,
but
that'd be so badass.
I don't know if you could have enough throughput with any of the internet connections to be able to do that. So we'll have to try it one of these days. Well, yeah, I'm stoked that you came on, dude. I really am. And Cody has an example, but I just think it's so cool that you've been able to get all this information and supply information to all these different people, 188 episodes that you've been able to talk to people about sponsorships. So I can only imagine what you've learned from episode 1 up until now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I knew nothing coming into it. Absolutely nothing. I never raced before. My brother raced motocross way back in the day. 30 years ago or something like that, he raced motocross. That was about it. I didn't have any of that experience. I had a couple of sponsors that I brought on through Impact Fuel, which is content creation as well, to an extent. So I had some knowledge I built up there, but everything else I learned from guests. I started bringing people on, and I ask everybody, what's your story? Tell me about how you met your sponsors. How'd you build that relationship? What are some things that went well, things that went bad? And I started picking stuff up. And, 20, 30, 40 episodes in, I actually started adding value to the show too, because I could share examples of things that people had taught me.
Yeah, 100%.
So that over time, I felt like I can add a little bit of value to each show, but I also learned something new in each show. Everybody has their own story, which is why I've been able to have this many shows, and I'm not bored talking about it. That's a lot of time to talk about sponsorship, and I still enjoy it.
Yeah, and it's not just sponsorship though. Like when you hear these stories and things like that, I've listened to a ton of your shows too, and the cool part about it is you hear struggles, you hear success, you hear, like Josh said, the stories that people go through, and when you learn about all of these different things, well, why don't you tell us what are the 5 most common things that make it successful in those 188 shows that you've heard from people? Can you average it out to be, relationships or stickers on the side of the car, bro?
Yeah. So number 1 is be genuine. At the end of every show, I ask people, what's one thing that we should take away from the show? If we forgot everything else, what's one thing we need to remember? And they always say, be genuine, be authentic, be yourself, some variation of that. And it sounds so easy to say that, but it's not always that easy when you're putting yourself in front of people. It's not always that easy to be yourself. You feel like you need to be somebody else. And almost everybody says that. Be authentic, just start there. That means, if someone, I'll give an example of, everybody knows energy drink sponsors, right? Monster energy drink and Red Bull energy drink have 2 very different brands, right? And the way that you act and who you are as a person is not going to align the same to both.
Right.
Just based off the way they market. You have to talk to the person and you have to connect with the company that aligns with who you are. And if you don't know who you are, it comes off as disgenuine. So you're like, hey, if you line better with Red Bull and you're trying to sell a Monster energy drink, people are going to pick up on it. They're going to be like, what? Why are you trying to market this? It doesn't even fit at all with your lifestyle.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Be genuine, be authentic.
We were actually talking about that earlier, and Cody does a really good job about that kind of stuff. He operates a Facebook page that's local to our area, and he gets events going, and he, meet and greets and different things like that. Mm-hmm. And he has an event where he's going to help the Children's Hospital, and they have things going over there, and he's been cultivating some relationships, and he's really doing a good job. But all he's doing is being himself. He's not out there asking for anything. He's just really doing a good job being himself. So when the people come, knocking on his door, it's going to be real easy for him to transfer that into.
Well, the only thing I ask is people show up.
See?
I'd hate to be the only one there.
Well, you also ask that they have a good time too.
Yeah,
right?
Oh yeah, they do. They have a wonderful time.
So I think that's fantastic that you say that. Be yourself and be genuine. I think a lot of people can get caught up, and this is a really huge thing in racing too. Well, actually, you know what? It's not just in racing; it's in events, and people get. A blown up ego, I guess you could say. And they want to be a bigger person than they really are. And, if you're winning all the time, of course, it's going to bloat your ego. If you have success at different events, it's going to bloat your ego. And that's all fine. But you really do need to be yourself. It makes a big difference in how you're perceived.
Mm-hmm. So, that's one thing for sure. Be genuine. The next thing that comes up quite a bit is this content is king. What that means is, what you're doing out there it's content creation. Whether you're doing a race, you're doing an interview, you're doing your social media, it's all about content. And that's what a lot of these sponsors want.
And when you say
nowadays,
content, you mean on social media and stuff, like what you post and things like that?
Yeah, exactly. Sponsors want content. They want to be able to do magazine articles still. They want to be able to do their own social media posts. They want to make videos. They want audio clips. They want all of that stuff to share on these different platforms. Social media is probably the biggest one right now, but it is hard for companies to justify making their own content dollar value wise.
Yeah. Yep.
And they got to get out to a location. They've got to get a film crew out there. They got to get people in. And it's tough, but if they can, bring someone on board as a partner, leverage some of their creative skills, they can make amazing things happen for them. It's cheaper. It's better return on investment than it would be to make their own content. And it's honestly more genuine too.
Yeah,
it's more genuine doing it that way.
Well, and you have somebody that may know the region. Well, let's give an example here. So, like Cody's children's event that he's having. So he does it around the later months, like around Christmas and stuff like that. And it's with the Diamond Children's Hospital. So they'll go visit the kids, and they bring all the side by sides with the lights and stuff. So it's like a real authentic atmosphere. Let's just say Santa's reindeer with all the bright lights coming into the scenes. The kids can look out the windows and they can see that. And so let's just say, for example's sake, Josh can help me with the example, but let's just say it's Craftsman Tools. And Craftsman Tools really wants to get into the Southwest market or Arizona market. They see a cool event like this that's got a charitable donation kind of philanthropy type thing, and they don't really have, let's just say, a representative that knows the area very much. Now, you could offer your services to Craftsman and say, well, I can do this for a much cheaper price than what you could send somebody out to do it for. So how would you manage something like that, Josh?
Yeah, so it's the same kind of concept of, well, especially if you know the business model. That's kind of what I was going to go into next. So I'll talk through my next point here, and then we'll kind of relate it back to that example.
Cool.
The companies are looking for a return on investment. That's what it is. If people don't know what that means, it's saying if I give you, as a sponsor, if I give you $100 in product and cash and whatever, I expect that plus more in return on sales of some way, shape, or form. So in an event like that, you can look at how much does it cost them to promote this on social media. So you might look at a Facebook ad and figure out, all right, here's how many impressions I could probably expect them to receive, and here's how much money it's going to cost. Let's say they're going to run $100 on an ad. Great. You can now compare that directly to how many impressions you might have if you were to post something similar, and instead of them paying 100, they pay 90 for you to do something with it. So that's one way you link it directly back to return on investment. There's a million ways you can do that, though. Go back to the logo on the side of a car. We joke about it because that's the first thing people go to, but it does obviously add value. And you can generate roughly how many times you think that car is going to be viewed, and how much money it would cost a sponsor to get those logo views some other way.
Or if you did something like have a bunch of kids standing around the car and the car got shared on all the social media platforms.
Yeah. So especially like in this specific example, right? You say, hey, I've got this car. I've got, maybe let's say Rigid Industries. We already talked about Brett earlier. Let's say Rigid is a title sponsor for this car. We say, hey, you give Brett a call. Say, hey, I'm doing this event. I'm going to have probably 10 to 15 kids present at the event. They're going to crawl and stuff in the car. Maybe you and I can sit around and talk about Rigid, talk about the car, talk about how we're helping out, talk about the event, and it all turns into one big thing. So Brett's volunteering, you're volunteering. There is some goodwill promotion of the Rigid Industries brand, but in the end, everybody benefits. It's win-win-win. So, you could pitch it like that too.
Yeah. And even if you could bring other people on board too, like again in this specific example, you have Rigid Industries, and let's just say Rigid, for whatever reason, wants to get with Craftsman and be a business partner.
Exactly.
You can align those two together and have them work together through you.
Yeah, exactly. So you got your Craftsman toolbox in the back of the car. You got your Rigid logo on the side. You invite Brett to talk to whoever the Craftsman rep is, and then all of a sudden we see a Craftsman toolbox 5 years from now that has, Rigid LEDs mounted up underneath the top. You open up your Craftsman toolbox, you got Rigid LEDs in there, right? That's the pitch.
Yep.
Essentially. And that's the things that people don't think about. That's something you can bring as an event coordinator or a sponsored rider or, a business influencer, whatever you want to call it. you can pitch those things that nobody would ever think of.
Right, and that's
Actually, now I kind of want one of those. I kind of
Yeah.
want
a rigid toolbox.
a Craftsman toolbox with a rigid
Brett,
LED
if you're
system
listening,
on it.
Brett,
Yeah.
come on in.
Make this happen, buddy.
Well, I think those, and that goes back to your point though too, is that right there is probably a bigger return on the investment than any cash value
Oh, yeah.
could ever have been to both of those potential sponsors, because they're going to win on that for years and years to come. And if it's something that's successful, like a product with lights and a toolbox, they're going to make a shitload of money on it, selling it to all these different
Right.
national retailers, and their return on investment is going to be paying them for years.
Oh, yeah.
So those things are cool, and I think people get these ideas all the time. I mean, the racers are smart, event coordinators are smart. There's so many ideas that people come up with, and execution is just the key.
Yeah, and this is the hardest one, this return on investment piece, because of what you just brought up there. It's not always that straightforward. I'll go back to Solderweld. They came on board in September of 2017, and they've been with the show ever since. And their first goal, their primary goal, is said, Josh, we just want you to get us access to the right racers that we can start sponsoring. We want to give them product and then start testing out the product that way.
Perfect.
They weren't initially interested in, direct return on sales. They were interested in brand building.
Yep.
And they said, hey, the people who listen to your show are more likely to be the type of people that we want to invest in. They're paying attention enough to watch the show and pay attention. They're most likely going to give us a little bit better bang for our buck anyways.
Yeah.
And that was their goal. That was their target. And looking back now, there's several examples of folks that, we've been able to connect through the show, and vice versa. Lance and Soderweld have been able to connect me with a bunch of other things too.
That's like going for it's like anybody just going to a job interview. Say that you want to go get a construction job, or a computer job is a better example. You want to go get a computer job, and you go through, like, let's just say a hiring agency, or you just go in there without a degree. Who do you think is going to have a better option? The person that went through a hiring agency that's been filtered, that's going to have the qualifications that line up perfectly, or somebody that just came off the street looking for the job?
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense, man.
Yeah, so it's just hard when it gets to when you're trying to pitch to somebody that isn't that hard, tangible thing. Because let's be honest, a lot of times you're not going to know exactly what their marketing budget is. You're not going to know what they're spending on ads. You can make assumptions and estimates, but you're not. It's hard to get to that true ROI. You can get there, but it takes a little bit of time. But not every sponsor is going to be looking exactly for that pure dollar per dollar return.
Yep.
They might be just purely going after brand building. There's plenty of sponsors that will say, look, unless you generate X number of sales in X number of days, we're done, and that's fine. And they do a great job too. But there's other folks that aren't necessarily interested in that yet, or they're looking at it more strategically. They're trying to gain access to a new market, something like that. So for Amsoil, for example, has been with me for probably about a year and a half now. And their goal was they wanted to gain access to some folks out west. My show has a little bit of a following out west, and they're like, yeah, we've got, the Amsoil Championship Snowcross Series. We've got a lot of folks out east that we have connections with, but, backcountry snowmobilers, we don't have a big market there, and some of the desert racers, we don't really have a market there. We want to get access to those folks.
Yeah, that's
they didn't have a direct target dollar value.
Right, but they had a specific goal that they wanted to do.
Right.
That's one of the things that
Right.
I've learned this over the years, but Brett Carpenter actually mentioned to us too, is that one of the biggest failures or the biggest positives that can come into any type of meeting with any sponsor is just asking them, what are your goals?
Yeah.
Like, how can I help? And if for whatever reason, like let's just say you and I went to a meeting and it was with, we'll just keep using Craftsman Tools or Rigid Industries, and we walked in there and we said, this is what we want. They would immediately just say, okay, well, we don't have any interest. But if we went in there saying, what do you guys have planned? And they tell us, and worst case scenario, it doesn't align with what we have, then we know it's not a good fit, and we're not going to be able to pay him back. But if we can align with it, then we can talk to him about maybe some of the ideas that we come up with, or we just shotgun ideas in the meeting or something. It's just, it makes a big difference, and that just goes back to what we were talking about before about having a solid relationship and just you know, growing that. I've talked with why am I having a brain fart now? Who wrote that book? Alex Stryler.
It's right here.
Yeah, there you go. So I talked
Motorsports Marketing and Sponsorship.
Yep.
Alex Stryler. Yep.
And so I've talked with Alex a few times, and he's an awesome dude. Like he's fantastic. Like he has no interest in helping people get sponsors. That's their job. But he was happy to lend a hand, telling me, you know what? I've worked so many times on trying to align people to get sponsorships together. But the best success that I've had is just shaking somebody's hand, having lunch with them, and then maybe 5 years later, I call them up and align them with something. Right. And it had nothing to do with anything but a good opportunity at that point that I remembered.
Right.
And those situations will always come up. So you never know what is going to happen in the future. Like, let's just put an example again, if the Craftsman Tools thing. If we were at a meeting at Craftsman Tools, we walked out of there going, man, you know what? We got to lose on this one. It wasn't happening. Maybe in 5 years we got the perfect idea, and all of a sudden we call the same dude. But we were respectful the whole time, and it ended up working out. So you can't walk out of there kicking and screaming about it, you know?
And that happens all the time, the 5-year thing. I mean, I've heard countless stories of that where people are like, yeah, I met with somebody, I kind of had a pitch, didn't go anywhere, and then they called me back 3 years later, and they said, hey, we're interested. And then 1 year later, they said, yeah, we're still interested. And then yet again, like, they said, you know what, let's do this thing. And it does happen that way, especially for some of these, kind of high-demand companies, the folks that everybody knows about. And sometimes you get on a little bit of a waiting list, and they're always watching. I had Evan Schendel of Polaris Razor come on a couple times. He's like, I am always watching. He's like, people don't know it, but I'm watching them. You know, if you got 500 followers on Facebook, but you're racing a Razor, you know, I probably know about it, and I'm probably paying attention. That doesn't mean I'm sponsoring you, but that means I know, and I'm watching.
That means he's doing a good job. He's doing a good job, though, too, because he's cultivating those relationships from arm's length.
So, yeah, I mean, you asked me before what are 5 things. I was going to save the best for last, which is relationships. But let's just hit that right now because you've already been on it. I mean, that's all this is. Let's just be honest. That's all life really is. It's relationships.
Yep.
That's where it's at. And if you want to build a relationship with somebody, I'm just going to write this down, put it on a stamp, put it on your mirror every morning. Don't walk up to them and say, like, this is what I want. You already said it, George, just a minute ago. Do not lead with that unless you want to fail.
That's your goal.
If you want to embarrass yourself to an extent, walk up and say that, if that's your goal. But if you really want to build a sponsorship program, start with something like, hey, tell me about your product. Or if you already know about it, say, hey, I enjoy your product. And then start talking about what are your goals.
Yep.
Like you're going to blow a person's mind if you walk up to, one of the marketing or sponsorship people at a company and you say, hey, what are you trying to accomplish right now? What are you using your brand ambassadors to accomplish? What are the things that your goals are trying to achieve? Like Kevin Kastner, he used to be with Amsoil for a long time. He's been on a show a couple times. He told me that. He's like, if someone walked up to me at a trade show and said that, at a minimum, we're going to have a follow-up conversation. At a minimum, because they're already in the right mindset for what we're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kevin's a rad dude too.
Yeah, Kevin, and he's done everything. He's crazy smart. But yeah, you start with something like that, and that's just, you're not expecting anything. I think you were talking about that earlier on the show. Like, I'm not expecting anybody to do anything for me. I just did it out of kindness of my heart. Use that. Because that's what relationships are. You're not necessarily expecting something out of the other person always in a relationship. Maybe time, camaraderie, but you're not expecting anything. That comes later. After you build a relationship, after you built a friendship, yeah, you probably expect your friend to be there for you if you need help, right? But that comes later, not up front. You start with that and like a focus on how you can help them. I mean, the rest is easy. The rest is easy.
I agree 100%. Well, let's just say that we have an example of a different thing. Let's just say racing, for instance. We're getting a few comments on Facebook about sponsorship for placement and stuff on racing. So let's just say it doesn't matter what sport, side-by-side racing, quads, dirt bikes, whatever it is. You're going to race in the 2020 season. What would you suggest would be the best way for somebody to go into a sponsorship conversation with any type of new sponsor?
Mm-hmm. So first off, you got to get the conversation started. Probably the most effective way is if you can get to a trade show, whatever that is, whatever industry it is. Go to the trade shows, make that face-to-face connection. Walk up to somebody, ask them, hey, who is responsible for your marketing or sponsorship here? I'd love to just have a quick conversation, better understand their needs. That's a great start. Not everybody's going to have that opportunity right off the get-go. So then you start with...
Well, let's take it even smaller than that. Let's just say that you want to start at a local level. You want to walk into Bob's Auto Shop.
That's it. You kind of already said it. Walk in.
Right. Well, what's the next step though? Because a lot of the people that are on our audience and stuff, they may not race or they may be hearing this for the first time, and that's the way that I started when I was little. Myself and my dad. My dad taught me at a young age. When you walk into these people's shop, they're not going to just hand you money out of the cash register. You have to slowly work your way into it. So let's just say little Johnny wants to go race his dirt bike next season, and he's going to go walk down to Bob's Auto Shop. What's the process?
Yeah, so right before you leave and go down there, you've got to put something in your head that says, it's okay that I'm doing this. This is a job. That's the way I view it. That's the way I tell people to view it. You're doing work. You're going to add value for them. And in turn, that's when they're going to support you. So some people have said, like, hey, I have a hard time even going into those places because I feel that, why should somebody give me something for free? What have I done to get something for free or get money or what? Like, I don't deserve it almost. So I think you got to wipe that mindset off before you even walk in there and say, you know what? I'm not doing anything for free. I'm going to give them more value than they're going to give me. And I deserve to even have this conversation. And that's okay. Like, I think you got to get your mind right before you even go in there.
That makes sense.
So
that
I think
makes a lot of sense.
That's like step one. So either way, you go in there, it's pretty much the same process that I talked about for going to an event. You walk in and say, hey, I'd love to speak to somebody about, if you have sponsorship programs or someone that's in your marketing group. I'm a local racer and I think I might be able to help you on a couple of things. Now, if you already know Bob's, what was it? Did you say hardware or cycle shop?
Or
what was
Bob's
it?
Auto Shop or something. Yeah, whatever.
Bob's Auto Shop. If you already know them, maybe you already got a story that you can tell. Like, hey, I've been coming here for the past 10 years or 5 years or 2 years. Really like what you guys do. I was on your Facebook page. You got 3 5-star ratings on there, and that's pretty cool. I think that I'd like to spend more time with you. I'd like to help you out in some way. I am a racer. I have a little bit of a following that I've kind of developed. I do a couple local races here. Nothing big, but I got a little bit of a following here, and I really enjoy what I do, and I really enjoy what you do. Maybe there's something we can do. Would you love to sit down for a minute with me? Would you like to tell me about your business? Would you like to go out and grab some lunch? Lunch is on me. I always recommend that if you're going to go take somebody out to lunch or breakfast or whatever, just pay for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Tacos.
Yep. Just pay for it. Even if it's a business, at least offer it. They might not even let you do it, but just pay for it.
And don't be the guy slamming
is going to go a long way.
and drinking beers and stuff at lunch. Don't be that guy.
Yeah. But, exactly. But I think that you start building that relationship and don't ask for anything yet. Just say, what can I help? What can I do to help? Tell me about your business. Maybe compliment the business if you have good things to say about it. I think that's it. And don't be afraid to try it. Walk into 5 different shops.
Yeah.
Reach out. you can reach out to people on social media as well. I've done a show on this before. You got to be really cautious with how you use direct messaging to make contact with sponsors. Definitely don't start with "sponsor me, bro."
Yeah.
Say, "Hey, I love your product. I'd love to know more about it."
How much money does your company make?
Before taxes.
Yeah.
Before
Can you imagine? Holy crap! Well, and you can end some of those conversations. Like, let's just say you do take Bob from Bob's Auto Shop out to lunch, and you have a good conversation with him. You can end some of those conversations by saying, "Well, I'd like to, maybe revisit this later. Why don't you take a week and think about it? I'll take a week and think about it, and maybe we can have another meeting later and see what happens." And then, worst case scenario, he blows you off. That means that he wasn't interested, and you had lunch that day, and you just had to pay for another person.
Yep.
Best case scenario, he's super pumped and he has ideas the next time.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly right. And if you do the follow-up, I really think that's a good option. You say, "Hey, I'd love to follow up again. How's next Wednesday at 10:15 sound?"
Right.
I'll come here again. Right. Get that thing locked in right away. Get their contact info. If you don't lock any of that in, get their contact info. We get home immediately. Email them, text message them, whatever they want. Yep. Just keep that flowing. It's like getting a job. It's the same kind of process. If you want to get a job at a company, you're probably going to research them online. You're probably going to go in at some point and maybe try to get your resume there. Maybe you're going to apply to something online. Some of those same things happen, which leads to like another option. Local racers can definitely utilize online tools to get sponsors. I mean, Hook It is something that we don't talk about in the show a ton, but you can go on there, you can create a profile, and companies will come and they'll try to find you, and they might offer you a 15% discount, and that gets you kind of started, gets you used to it.
That does bring up a good point.
Websites.
Yeah, and being like kind of broken in that way too. Yeah, because I remember, when I was little or when I was first starting the sponsorship acquisitions and stuff, like they didn't have things like Hook It and stuff, and it is kind of sometimes it can be a little bit daunting or like a little too much for people to go in there. Maybe the racer doesn't have a winning personality, or he's got less confidence or something, but he's got some good friends and he's got a loyal attitude and stuff like that. So I can see what you're saying. And the practice makes perfect kind of mentality.
Yeah, and I'm talking to a lot of the introverts out there right now too, because not everybody is going to feel comfortable doing this. It takes time to build up confidence, and you can get sponsors through Hook It, and also just through applying. Go online. If you find a company that you really like, let's say it's a gear manufacturer, most likely they're going to have a spot where you can apply for sponsorships on there. They have different times of year depending on what type of target market you're going after. So if you're going after snow or dirt, it's different times of the year. But yeah, you can just go on and apply just like you would apply for a job.
Yeah, exactly.
Fill out a bunch of information.
Yeah, see, a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah,
this is a good podcast today, because a lot of people do. They really just walk in there and say, "Sponsor me, bro."
No, they do, and that's what Josh was saying.
Yeah.
Like it's so common. It's like it's almost like mind-boggling how common it is. Like to see people do that, it sucks.
There is legitimately a spoof Instagram account out there now, which I follow and I love. Someone just posted on my Facebook group a couple days ago. I can't remember who posted it, but the thing is called "Are You Sponsored?" And it's just a big spoof of like people coming up with horrible sponsorship pitches, and they pitch to this account, which is a joke account, and they'll say like, "Hey, sponsor me, bro," and he'll take those screenshots and put them back up. Like, "Hey, this literally just happened," and it's hilarious. One guy said, "Hey, I followed all the directions and I applied for it, and I haven't heard anything back. What's going on?" And the guy's like, "This is a spoof account. Like, what directions are you even talking about? I didn't post any direction." It's like,
wow.
But they'll do it.
Poor guy.
And I feel bad. Like, I'm kind of poking fun at these folks, but I mean, I honestly want those folks to watch my show. I want them to watch this show. Because it doesn't have to be that way. It's not that much harder to send a direct message. Instead of saying "sponsor me, bro," you say, "Hey, I love your product. Tell me more about it."
Right.
Or like, "Hey, would you like to hop on the phone sometime. I mean, there's other ways, and it doesn't take that much more effort.
Yeah, exactly. And I think proof of concept has a lot to do with it too. I know that everybody would like to be able to fund their programs and to have people do that, but unfortunately, this day and age, things are so expensive that you have to be able to do it yourself, and you have to have proof of concept. There's two different ways to look at it. Like, one of the ways would be an easy way, like yours. Like, you have a good thing going with the event, and you're doing it pro bono, and you're helping people. So that right there is already genuine in being yourself. You can go and sell that easy to Bob's Auto Shop, because if he doesn't want to be interested in that, that's fine. You can move on to the next person. Yeah. You can also take it to a very high level, like somebody like Bryce Menzies, and you can pitch a company like Red Bull, and they consider value, they consider stability, and they consider all these different things much more higher priority than, let's just say, Bob's Auto Shop would. I know that an example of Bryce Menzies was he was in competition with 2 or 3 other different drivers. And whether those drivers were better or not is inconsequential, because the reason that Red Bull picked him was because of the stability of his program. Whether Red Bull was on it or not, he was still able to support it no matter what. So it was never going to die. So if Red Bull invested with another driver and they ran out of money from Red Bull, the program was dead. So it wasn't a sustainable program. So if let's just say that you're going in to ask a sponsor. It doesn't have to be Red Bull. It still can be Bob's Auto Shop. And you're just racing your local series. Maybe it's a little difficult for you to get to all the races because you don't have enough money or you can't get enough time off of work. Don't go in there telling them that you're going to do the whole series. Ask them to sponsor one event. Maybe ask them to pay for your entry fees for that first event, and see how the relationship can cultivate and see how it works. And then you have your proof of concept, and then you can move forward from there.
Well, and then, we talked about this Bob's Auto Shop, but what if Bob's your uncle, right?
Yeah.
There is absolutely nothing wrong with going to friends and family, business owners that you already have a relationship with, and just saying, hey, look, I'm trying to do something a little bit different here. I think I can help you. Would you consider a partnership? I mean, my first ever sponsor with Impact Fuel was Wiese's Lawn Care. That's my dad's lawn care company.
Perfect.
He came on board. I didn't even have to pitch him, right? I just said, hey, Dad, I'm starting this. And he's like, oh, cool. What do you need? Like, how much money you need? I was like, no, hold on. Wait. I was like, yeah, I need $1 million. No. He came on right away. And he wasn't getting a real benefit out of it, other than he was helping me out. He felt like, hey, I'm his son, and he's going to help me out with something. And it was great proof of concept for me, because I got to transact funds. I got to figure out exactly how my business model was going to operate. And then, so after that, I asked my father-in-law. I said, hey, he had a cab company. Same deal. So BC Cab was my sponsor for, I don't know, a year and a half.
Yep.
And then one of my buddies, just randomly, he's like, hey, I've got a massage parlor. It's called Wizard of Oz. Like AHHHHS. And he's like, hey, man, I'd like to sponsor you for like 3 months. Would that be cool? I was like, yeah, that's awesome. I was like, you're not going to get any return on sales. He's like, I don't care, dude. I just want to help you out.
Yeah.
So all of those things, I mean, I wasn't even planning on half of that stuff, but there's all friends and family that was just wanted to help. And it gave me that opportunity. There's tons of people that I interview that do the same thing. And some of these folks are, they're title sponsors, or they end up being with them for 10, 15 years.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, my brother, I told you he raced motocross when he was younger. It was one of our family friends. They covered all his bike builds and everything for I don't know how many years. And I still like Brad Traskis, like Traskis Enterprises, like they're still around, and my brother is still friends with them, and my dad's still friends with them. I am, and there's nothing wrong with that. I encourage it. Go just find Uncle Bob's Auto Shop and say, hey, Uncle Bob.
Yeah, and you can.
What do you think?
You can always make it better along the road too. So we're talking about getting sponsors, but so now, like Josh is is proof in the pudding, so to speak. And then like last week, so we had a little girl named Dakota Hibbler come in, and for her to generate income, she's making stickers and she's selling them for $2 a piece. And so that's a really cool thing because she can use that as a business tool and stuff like that. Well, the Dirt Life show bought 50 stickers, but we didn't need the stickers, so we're asking her to donate the stickers to other people. And what they need to do now is if we're talking sponsorship and real business transactions, they need to follow through with that clearly, but they also need to provide us with a return on our investment and show them handing out stickers. They need to show us the value that we created for them. I mean, whether $100 for a sponsorship is a big deal or not, it doesn't matter. The Dirt Life still saw a good value in that girl and wants to help them. So it's going to be really cool to see what they provide back, because that's their choice and their catalyst to be able to have a long-term relationship with a new sponsor. So I think that's fantastic that she came up with the idea, and I think it's fantastic to see what they come up with. And you're proof in the pudding that you able to keep those relationships going for many, many years. And we were talking about this before the show as Cody and I were talking about it, and a lot of the things that I've done for the past, let's just say 5 or 10 years, just establishing relationships and racing and whatever it is, they've translated into the podcast world pretty easy too, because we're doing a podcast that's, content creation, and we're able to provide value too. So I think it's kind of cool that those things were able to transfer over, and man, it wouldn't have been able to happen unless I kept those relationships going in a positive manner.
Yeah, and one thing great about podcasts specifically, because there's a number of people who are getting into that now, which I greatly encourage. It's a platform for businesses to share their stories too. And that's another way to build a relationship. Like for me, I brought Kirk Zach from HMK on my show a long time ago. HMK is a snowmobile gear manufacturer company, and I brought them on, and it was just such a good relationship. We hit it off. You spend an hour talking to somebody on the phone and hearing their story. You start building that relationship.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, what kind of gear are you running?" I was like, "Oh, I got some old beat up, snowmobile gear, right?" And he's like, "Oh, that's not gonna fly anymore." And and ever since then, like I've been running HMK stuff, and I love it. I mean, I got like heated gloves and like the jacket, and I like decked out HMK stuff, and they, I podcast out of their booth before at Heydays, and I wasn't even seeking that. I wasn't asking for that. It just happened, but the podcast was the media that got me there, just having that conversation.
And they saw value in it,
to more and more things. Right. I mean, this show is an example as well. You bring some folks on like Solderweld, right? This is an avenue for them to talk about their product, support you, and everybody benefits from it, right? And it's just another avenue. And a lot of racers are getting into this right now too. I think RJ Anderson's doing a really good job right now of creating these intense, cool videos that, organically integrate the sponsors' products and stuff. Some are obvious, some are less obvious. But like people watch that, they pay attention to it. It's fun, it's entertaining, and it's coming from them.
Yeah,
which 100%. Is pretty neat.
Yeah, and they're being genuine. They're being themselves, and even if they are fucking around, it's genuinely cool, and it's attractive to people to see for, just like you said, content creation. So let's give a definition of content creation, because we mentioned it a couple times.
Yeah, so it's anything that you can make that's usually visually or audio consumption that people are gonna look at, they're gonna be able to interact with, they're going to be able to engage with, they're going to be able to remember. So think social media, think television, think radio, podcasts,
let's just
magazines.
Let's use Cody's event as an example now, because it's been used a couple times already. A cool piece of content creation for that would be if one of the people at his event filmed them driving up to the hospital, like reindeer and carriage kind of thing and that would be very cool if they filmed that and then they had people giving hugs and then just posted that online. and that's it. Like
Exactly.
that would be a huge piece of content creation, and that creates proof of concept and value for any sponsor.
Yeah, so we'll build on that example. So let's say you film someone, pulling up and then interviewing a couple of the kids, interviewing maybe one other person, take a few pictures. Now you've got an opportunity for a Facebook post, Instagram post, a Twitter post. You can do a YouTube video upload. You could be live on Facebook or Instagram during the whole thing. You could create photos and stuff for a magazine ad. You could download the audio and publish it as a podcast.
You could share it to children's pages online and make them happier. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what it's about. I mean, to an extent, it's entertainment, right? A lot of times like this show, people are going to learn something from this show, but it's still a form of entertainment.
Right.
So yeah, anything that you can consume that like engages your senses, and that's shareable, and scalable, that's pretty much content creation. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people that do good content creation, and I think there is some people that do it that I follow online that don't really even monetize it. I think they're just doing it because they're having a fun time doing it, and that's fine. But they could do a great job monetizing that too. So I guess there's two sides to every story. I mean, you could just be doing it for fun and not worried about it. I mean, and that's pretty much what you're doing. You're just giving back.
Yeah, just having a good time doing it.
Yeah, it's fantastic, man. Well, we always ask these questions. Josh, what time is it actually? Yeah, we probably should start ending this thing. We always ask a couple questions at the end. And what is well, first of all, I want to know like how family life was and what you got planned for like events and stuff that you're going to be doing.
Yeah, so and I didn't really even explain this earlier, but yeah, you said family life, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm married, got 2 kids. I've been with my wife total for 16 years, coming up on 10 years married.
Awesome, dude.
So yeah, woohoo!
Wait, so are we supposed to say, school. God, how did she hang out for 6?
Well, that's true. That's true. I ask myself that every day. Especially with like if we got into what our first date was, what I thought was cool.
No.
I'm lucky she's here, but no, we were high school sweethearts. She was 15, I was 16 when we started dating, and we've been together ever since. And she enjoyed the dirt life for a long time, but she actually got into a really bad accident at Silver Lake Sand Dunes, and since then it's been a little. She's a little more cautious nowadays, but yeah. So I got two boys, 6 and 4, and they're both. They're a handful.
They probably want now with the advent of side by sides and stuff. They probably want a quad or side by side or something, right?
Yeah, the Razor 170 has definitely caught all of our attention.
Oh, I gotcha.
So I got my eyes on that. But they got I told my youngest son is the one that would be driving, and I was like, you got to get your power wheels down. Like if you can stop hitting stuff with the power wheels, we could talk. We can talk, but you gotta get control of that first. But yeah, so I got my boys and we have a good time and we go camping. We do we call them adventures. So I take them out on the Jeep, now the Raptor, and you just take them out my side by side and have a good time.
Is the Raptor your single vehicle for off-roading now?
Yeah, so my Raptor is that's my off-road focus vehicle, but I also use it for my tow vehicle. I don't tow much, but it gets my stuff where it needs to go.
That's kind of a good idea, though, because you tow your stuff out there and then you just take that thing and you go. Well, the only problem is if you break it, you can't drive
it home, dude.
Yeah, you can't break the truck and then drive it home, but I take some risk with that. But yeah, like we've got my father-in-law has a cabin in northern Michigan, which is gorgeous up there. So I'll tow my boat up there with the Raptor, drop the boat in the water, and then go hit the trails in the truck, and then drive it back home 300 miles, the next day. But yeah, that's kind of like how we play nowadays. And I tow my snowmobiles up the same way. I'll use the Raptor now.
What's
the snowmobiles up north? But
just because I'm hungry, what's your favorite food to eat?
Biscuits and gravy.
Ooh, that's a good one, dude.
Oh, that's rare, huh?
Oh my gosh.
Biscuits and gravy are good though.
I know they are good.
We got to bring
But
food
I
up
only
at least.
I like sausage gravy, the white sausage gravy. That's where it's at for me.
It can't be the shitty kind though. It's got to be like at least like mid-level, upper grade.
I've got a list of like the top, biscuits and gravy places that I've eaten at.
Dude, he's pretty intense on the biscuits and gravy.
Oh yeah, there's a spot that's right by my father-in-law's cabin that I stumbled upon. It's called I don't even know what it's called, Small Town Cafe, or I don't know. It's in Pellston, Michigan, so people can look it up. And either way, I ordered there one time just randomly. I was like, I'll take your biscuits and gravy, and I was like, oh my gosh,
Get a straw.
Licking the plate
so
clean.
good. I've gone back there like 4 times since then. It's so good, but it's not as good as my mom's. My mom's biscuits and gravy is still the best. So
Is that a mom plug right there?
I got you. That's a mom plug.
Shouts out
That's
to
a mom plug.
Well, hey, we should get people to comment because I like biscuits and gravy too. If you got any places in Phoenix or in Tucson that you like biscuits and gravy, let us know because I want to go to these places. And tacos, obviously, too. But biscuits and gravy, please, this time. Well, what do you want to be like? Well, first, what does the future hold for you? Like, what do you plan on doing over the next 5-10 years?
Oh, buddy. I used to feel like I had everything mapped out. I had a plan for everything, and it's gotten so different now from what I thought. I don't even know where it's going to be, but I love the podcast thing. I'm starting a new podcast. I've kind of told you a little bit about that.
Yep.
It's going to be next year, but I want to get deeper into the podcast world. I want to kind of get different offerings out there. So I'd love to have a top rated iTunes podcast. Like, I've gotten up into the top 20 a few times, but I want to get there consistently. And I want to help a lot of people, want to reach a lot of people. So I want to keep doing that stuff. Get more and more ingrained into it. I love it if my kids got more ingrained into it too. I think it'd be awesome if I could, have one of them pop on a podcast in the future. That'd be a lot of fun. So that's one thing. And then at work right now, I'm really focused on over the next 5-10 years growing external revenues at the Eaton Proving Grounds. I want to get developing companies to come in there and start doing testing there. Cool. Like we got a lot of opportunity. We've got some companies coming in right now. They're making some really cool stuff, and I just want to do more and more of that. And then for the family life, like, we got plans to do a bunch of vacations and trips, and I want to get the kids their own little toys and get them comfortable navigating off road. And
don't say it too loud or let them watch the show. Then we want to get them their own TOYS.
Yeah, they're aware enough right now that they're going to start asking for stuff. It's coming.
Well, plus they see Dad having
which is
so much fun driving. They want to be like Dad.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Awesome.
I think it's cool to see.
That's kind of it.
I think it's cool to see that your future plans, and we've been talking about it this whole episode about cultivating relationships and having a good time. I've never asked Josh for anything. He's never asked me for anything except for to come on each other's shows and stuff like that. But I have ambitions to do some other things in business. But one of the things that I want to do is I want to do very much like you, and I want to share my story a little bit more, and I want to help more people. And this podcast, like we were talking about at the beginning of the show, was just a launching off platform for me to understand how this world worked. And my main goal is to have a podcast called 19 Lives. And the 19 is significant because that's my racing number. And unfortunately, I'm like a cat. I've had my fair share of injuries. And I've not always landed on my feet, but I'm able to still walk around. And I would like to share my story, but I want to share it in a different way. I want to share it in a helpful way, and I want to bring in inspirational people, and I want to have a podcast that's very goal and, philanthropy oriented so that we can help people. And it kind of aligns along the same lines as yours. You want to grow it big enough to be able to actually have a lot of people watching and stuff like that. So I think it'd be cool for us to maybe talk to each other in the future and kind of get ideas and help each other grow.
Yeah, certainly. And, I'm all about that. Jake Coleman, I think, was watching earlier. You're like, yeah, I loved helping him get started on a few things. I love having more off-road focused podcasts out there. The Money Microphone podcast, they helped me get started.
Sweet.
Greg Thomas, and so I feel like I want to help more people get their shows off the ground too. And, that's a lot of fun. So I'm glad that you got this thing going here, and I'm glad I can come on here and, share a little bit of advice, and hopefully you get some growth out of this thing. You can get your message out there and, realize your dreams too.
Yeah, man, it's cool. I love having people like that because those relationships end up working so much better when you have people like that to work with. Well, the last question that we have for you then is, what do you want to be remembered for?
Oh, buddy.
Getting stuck at Silver Lake.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
He's remembered for that last weekend.
Yeah, I'm still living that down. Especially, okay, real quick on the getting stuck thing. I posted it on a Raptor Facebook page, and everybody's like, dude, did you have your air pressure down? Like, yeah, the air pressure's down. Like, oh, dude, were you going fast enough? Like, yeah, I was going fast enough. And like, why did you get stuck? I was like, because I got scared and I let off. I don't know. I'm sorry. But either way, what do I want to be remembered for? I mean, honestly, it goes down to some of my priorities in life. I do these morning affirmations. Pull out a journal, write down some things, and one of them is I want to be remembered for being an amazing father, amazing husband. Those are the things I write down every day. It's one of the first things I write down. If everything else, my podcast flops, my business flops, I'm in debt up to my ears. If the world is toast, in the end, I want to take care of my family. I want to be there for them. I want them to remember me for that. So that's probably my number one thing. But, outside of that, I want people to think that I'm here to help, that I'm here to provide some inspiration, some motivation, some excitement, some energy, because I feel like there's so many things that can go wrong in life, but there's also way more things that can go right, and there's so many things that go right every day that we take for granted and we just don't think of. And if I could just imprint that on a couple of people here and there, I'm good with that.
I think you're doing a great job, man. Life is all about choices, and as long as you can help them make the choice to go right or left and it's the proper way, man, you've definitely helped a lot of people. And I know you've helped me for sure, and I think we've helped Cody get a little bit of clarity.
You.
So, I appreciate it 100%, man. It's really cool to have you on the show, and of course it was cool to be on your show before, and yeah, man, I just wish you all the success in the world. I love talking to you.
Yeah, no, same here. And honestly, you've been on my show more times than you probably think, because remember you did that Solder Weld commercial for me.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You're on the show all the time. All the time.
Shameless plug for George Hamill, I guess. Right?
That's it. Yeah.
Well, Lance is a good dude, so I was happy to help him out. So we had
Lance is awesome.
We had breakfast up in Draper, Utah, and shot around some ideas. And again, one of those conversations that we didn't walk away asking for anything. We just walked away having a good breakfast. So
it's good.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool, man.
Yeah, and Lance, I don't know if you can see this, I got the Solder Weld hat on too.
Yeah, buddy.
So
Lance even helped out with our hats too. He gave us a good hat producer. So good dude, man.
These hats are amazing.
They really are.
They fit my head perfect, just perfect. But
they really are.
Yeah.
Lance, you did a good job with your hats, buddy. All right. Well, on that note, Josh, you were awesome, man. We'll let you not sleep. We'll let you get off the phone and go hang out with the family, dude. All right. Well, thank you so much, dude.
Good to meet you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
All right, buddy. See ya.
Peace.
Well, thank you very much to Josh Wiese for coming on the show. And thank you guys all very much for listening to our show tonight, episode 9. Good job, dude. It's been
Learned a lot tonight.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to hear that stuff. Honestly, it really is. Whenever you have conversations like that and you can walk away with just saying, I learned one thing, then it's a positive conversation. So I hope everybody else learned a little bit. If you have any questions, you can clearly follow up Cody or myself. You can hit us on the instant messages on Instagram. You can hit us on Facebook at The Dirt Life Show. You can also email us, thedirtlifeshow@gmail.com. you can clearly talk to Josh as well. He's the Sponsored Rider Club podcast. And we want to say thank you to all our sponsors, Rigid Industries, Shock Therapy, Fuel Wheels, Zollinger Racing Products, and Solder Weld. Thank you guys so much for everything. We really love you guys. We'll see you next week. Peace.
You've been listening to the Dirt Life Show with George Hamill and Cody Sanders.